Hey, welcome to HR Famous, brought to you by Kinetics, the leading RPO recruiting firm for growth companies. Named by HRO Today as the top midsize RPO provider, Kinetics uses its unique skill-based recruiter model to deliver on RPO engagements, allowing them to customize scope to meet your unique hiring needs. If you have recruiting challenges and want to consider RPO as a solution, give Kinetics a call. Find them online at kineticshr.com. HR Famous is also brought to you by HRU Tech, a contingent staffing firm specializing in engineering, IT, and technically related placements across multiple industries. If you're looking for technical talent or searching for a career, look no further than HRU Tech. Find them online at hrutech.com and call them today. All right, HR Famous, we're back. And I might call it the dream team. Not that we ever want Tim Sackett not to be with us, but I'm joined by Jessica Lee. Jessica, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How, we don't need anyone else, just you and I. I'm great.
I'm Chris Dunn. She's Jessica Lee. Tim Sackett is on vacation. And what I thought we'd do to kick us off, Jlee, Tim Sackett is somewhere on the coast of Lake Michigan. That's what Midwesterners do when they go to the beach. They go to the beach on Lake Michigan, which is like an ocean. It's like a big pond.
Basically,
But yeah, it's like an ocean.
There's waves.
We've seen pictures, et cetera, et cetera. Give me your top activity that you think Tim Sackett at this stage in his life is doing to have fun on the coast of Lake Michigan.
I think there's a little beer pong action happening, as well as some flip cup maybe. There's definitely red solo cups involved.
Okay, got it. I had more in mind, like in terms of top activity, Tim, walks, he bikes, he's ran with me before. I'm thinking he's like on a boogie board in about 3 feet of water, like taking the big tasty waves in from about 15 feet out. What do you think?
That's a possibility, but I don't even really want to think about what he's doing. I'd like to just remark on the fact that this guy is on vacation all the time. Like, who is he? I feel like I'm working so hard right now and he's on vacation again. I know he'll hear this.
He would tell you that he's working on location, which is something that, I was just having a conversation with one of our recruiters at Kinetics, and she said that her parents were renting a house in North Carolina for a month to get out of the Florida heat. So because we're working from home, she's going to kick it there, get a little built-in grandma and grandpa time for her infant, right? And work from there. So Tim would tell you that he's just working on location. On ginger
working
people
on his
don't tan
he
so
doesn't.
well.
He just turns red.
Yeah, he turns red. What do we got? All right. She's Jessica Lee. I'm Chris Dunn, the HR Famous podcast. 2 things to talk to you about today. And the first one that I want to talk about, Jlee, is this just in. So are you familiar, Jlee, with Redfin?
Oh, have the app on my phone, not in the market, but always like to look.
Real estate app, real estate site. Tell me why you have that app on your phone before we get to this news from Redfin, not a sponsor of the HR Famous podcast. Tell me why you had such a warm reception to Redfin as opposed to Zillow. Do you like Redfin over Zillow?
Oh, you know what? So when I'm searching on the web, I'll take Redfin, Zillow, Realtor.com. But for whatever reason, I like the Redfin user experience as far as the app goes.
So I'm a Zillow guy.
You're a Zillow guy.
I'm a Zillow guy, and so is Mrs. Dunn. So we love driving through neighborhoods and just letting it roll, right?
The best.
And you just see all the prices come up, they call it a Zestimate. All right, so here's the news. Speaking of smiling and dialing on real estate, Jessica, a report by Redfin found that in the second quarter, a record number of users were looking to move to another metropolitan area, which is new. So here's the top 5 most popular destinations. Actually, I'm going to do where they're exiting. So the most exits, according to Redfin, in terms of people looking to leave. I don't think there's a lot of surprises here, but I'll give you where they're exiting. It's New York City, LA, and San Francisco. Any surprises there, Jlee?
No shockers.
Why?
I see dollar signs.
Yeah. You see dollar signs. You also see some, what surprised me about where people are looking to move from, which impacts where they work from as well. What surprised me was LA being in there. Now, I get San Francisco and New York City just related to what's happened with the pandemic. LA was a little bit different for me just because it's so spread out.
That's true.
And it's so suburbia that it was interesting to me that they were a part of that. So some of the numbers for you, this is, the top three metros net outflow in the quarter, meaning the amount of Redfin users looking to leave, almost 34,000 in New York City, almost 32,000 families looking to leave in San Francisco. And to our point, LA was number 3, but almost, just over half of that at 17,000. So I thought LA being number 3, but you see the drop off, right? In terms of population density with New York City and San Francisco. Now, let me tell you where the most people are looking to move to. So users, where they're looking to move to and where they're really interested in, this is like, not that you're looking, Jlee, but it's just like you looking at Redfin and really pounding the hell out of the following metropolitan areas. So top 5 metros that were most popular, second quarter, Redfin: Phoenix, Sacramento, Las Vegas, Atlanta, whoa. Shout out to the ATL, and Austin. So Redfin cited 2 main factors in common, all located inland, not coastal, and boast affordable housing. So Phoenix, Sacramento, Las Vegas, Atlanta, and Austin. Comment about your top markets out of those 5, Jlee.
First of all, why must there always be hate for the coastal cities, the people who live in them? I hate the term coastal elites. I know that this is where it could potentially be going, but why? Why the hate? Why the hate for that?
What makes you think that there's hate, Jlee?
No,
I think you're a little too sensitive to it.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, I think that this is where it could go, or some of the things being implied, like no one wants to live on the coast and that they're expensive and full of coastal elites. I know that that's where this could be going.
So I don't know if I had a certain inflection when I said coast. I may have. No. I get it.
Maybe I am sensitive. I just hate the term coastal elites. But so those 5 cities, I am surprised by.
Okay, tell me what you're surprised with first, and then I want you to give me your top 3. But tell me what you're surprised with.
Well, like you, I'm surprised by Las Vegas. I'm actually surprised by Atlanta because, like, there is such a metropolitan core, but there's all these sprawling, pieces that encompass what is considered Hotlanta. ATL, Hotlanta. Also surprising, but maybe not, just a commentary, is that except for Sacramento, like very warm climates. That's another observation here. So my top 3, if I had to pick, I mean, man, I love that Phoenix heat. Like that just is very appealing to me.
Good for the skin.
It's great for the skin, not good for outdoor activity, but great for your skin. I think Austin, with the Keep Austin Weird and like all of the startup activity that's happening around there. So I got to throw Austin in the mix. And, I'm surprised with what I'm going to say, but you've given me options that I have to choose from, and I'm not going to break the rules. I'm going to put Hotlanta as number 3 because I think from a culinary perspective, Hotlanta's got some interesting things going on, and the other 2, no, thank you.
So the way I look at this, Jlee, so thank you for your top 3. I think that Las Vegas and Phoenix are direct ties to Los Angeles and maybe to a lesser extent, the San Francisco area. Sacramento is only there because of the flow of people looking to leave the Bay Area and keep the
Possible, yeah.
same like climate, stay in California. I'm just going inland to Cowtown, as I think it's affectionately like known as. And then Atlanta and Austin are a little bit of a wild card. You know, I'm in Atlanta all the time. Love Atlanta. So I guess Atlanta for sure is in my top 3. And then I would probably go Phoenix. And then I'd have to figure out number 2. And the reason for that is I've been to Vegas a lot. I don't like, you know, Vegas is cool. I don't know that I want to live there. I don't know anything about Sacramento. And I think Austin, I think the big boom town in terms of opportunity to be there, I think it's going to get expensive really, really quick. Any surprises, Jlee, about the cities that weren't here? So the reason we're talking about this on the HR Famous podcast is because this is migration, right? I mean, this is migration that was predicted with the work from home. If you can work from home as a professional and live anywhere you want and you're concerned about being in a hotbed of COVID, you're going to think about moving. So I think this is a migration pattern of workers, especially from these 3 areas. But when you think about what was not represented as a possible place to go, any surprises that of metropolitan areas that didn't show up? I've got one for you.
Well, I'll give Mr. Sackett a shout out that he's probably wondering why Tulsa is not on the list. Tulsa, but I wouldn't have expected it to be on the list. I'm actually surprised, like metro, like Madison, Wisconsin is not on the list. I think that there's like some places that are super livable and moderately affordable that I'm surprised by. Those are the 2 that come to mind.
All right, let's get on to the next topic. All right, next up, Jessica, I got a good one for you here. Have you ever heard of Blizzard Entertainment?
As a matter of fact, I have. I think I have people in my life who are World of Warcraft fans.
Is Bobby a gamer?
No, I would never marry a gamer.
Oh, shout down to the gamers. Okay, got it. So you're right. So Blizzard Entertainment is the company behind great titles like World of Warcraft, and shout out to my sons, also Call of Duty, one of the great like first shooter games of all time. So here's the news from an HR perspective. They're a massive video game publisher behind those franchises, and they're facing a lot of internal and now external pushback after employees circulated a salary document that exposed, in their eyes, major pay disparities. So Bloomberg is the one reporting this. And so think about it this way, Jlee. So there's a salary spreadsheet that's being shared internally around Blizzard Entertainment. Now that sets off the alarm bells for any of us from an HR and talent perspective, unless you're all the way in on pay transparency. So let me give you a couple of other like tasty tidbits from the Bloomberg article. So some employees quoted in the article say that they've used, wait for it, Jlee, are you focused? Because I'm going to give you a tasty tidbit here. They've actually, the pay is such an issue that they've actually used free coffee as an appetite suppressant. And this isn't as funny. This isn't funny at all, actually. Skip meals so they could pay rent, according to the new report at Bloomberg.com. And then they also point out that the Activision CEO took home around $40 million last year. So I'll give you more details in a second. You know the game titles, and I looked them up on LinkedIn. So this is a company with 4,000 to 5,000 employees. So this is a big concern. It's not a small concern, as you would expect from a company that has a CEO making that much money. But from a messaging perspective and I guess a damage control perspective, there's a salary spreadsheet moving around. And now they've reached out to Bloomberg, and you never know. The hard thing about this, and I'll just throw it to you to react, is you never know how many employees they actually talk to for this article. Reactions, and then we'll keep sharing some tidbits from the Bloomberg article.
Well, shout out to that Google sheet that I'm sure someone set up and then sent that link around so that it can be an
open
active live
settings,
document.
Jlee.
Yes, yeah, rather than forwarding a spreadsheet around and around. So shout
Yeah.
out to the person who was efficient and said, let's just open source this puppy. Good
By
call.
the way, not a boomer. If they use Google
not.
Sheets, keep going.
Probably not. So good job on the open source. So I was trying to dig in once this started hitting the news to really like get a sense for like who's doing the talking, who are they talking to, and I don't know. Like part of it is like when I read things like you have QA testers, customer service reps that are being paid far less, to whom, like other people in the same industry in comparable roles or to their counterparts in the company. I mean, those are roles typically that, are going to be paid less. I saw some things in some of the media coverage around it where people were complaining that like a 10% salary increase wasn't enough. And I was kind of like, well, damn, 10% of a salary increase is actually not so bad. So you don't know what they're benchmarking against. And I have a little bit of a tough time. I'd want to know more. Like someone needs to send me the link to that Google spreadsheet so I can do a little bit more analysis to understand what is going on there.
If you're at Blizzard and you've seen the spreadsheet and you have a link, she's Jessica Lee. I'm Chris Dunn. We would love to see it. We'd love to know how many columns there are. Jlee, how many columns do you think are on the spreadsheet? Let's talk about this for at least 60 seconds. How many columns?
Okay. I'm going to guess that it only has 3 columns, maybe 4, but I would want like going from row A to Z, AA, AB. Like I want as long,
which means name.
Lots of columns.
So do you think it's just title, location, title, location, and money? Nobody puts their name on it?
Have you ever been to a webinar where the topic was great, but there wasn't enough time to ask questions or have a dialogue to learn more? Well, welcome to HR and Payroll 2.0, the podcast where those post-webinar questions become episodes. We feature HR practitioners, leaders, and founders of HR, payroll, and workplace innovation and transformation sharing their insights and lessons learned from the trenches. We dig in to share the knowledge and tips that can help modern HR and payroll leaders navigate the challenges and opportunities ahead. So join us.
I think it's title, location, maybe it's like 4 or 5 columns. Title, location, current pay, percent of last increase. And I bet that's it.
If it doesn't include names, Jlee, does that make it you're a master kind of reader of human behavior and human nature? You've always been that. You've been one of the best people in my life reading other people. If they don't include names, does that make it more accurate or less accurate?
Less accurate.
Amen.
How many columns do you think it has?
I think I'm with you. I think it has 3. I think it has title,
like lookups and all.
I think it's like title, location, and money, and it's like people have manipulated the fields where like some of the cells with the money have like commas in the thousands and dollar signs, and then some don't. But whoever went in and like formatted that for themselves didn't do it for the other people. I think it's like a hot mess. Now, let me segue. Let me give you the statement from the Activision, which is the parent company of Blizzard. Let me give you the statement from an Activision spokesperson named Jessica Taylor. Okay, you ready? Close your eyes. Everybody listening, close your eyes. I'm going to read you the press statement that comes out. Company's reaction to the spreadsheet going around. Our goal has always been to ensure we compensate our employees fairly and competitively. We are constantly reviewing compensation philosophies to better recognize the talent of our highest performers and keep us competitive in the industry, all with the aim of rewarding and investing more in top employees. This year, our top performers received a salary increase that is 20% more than in prior years. Our overall salary investment is consistent with prior years. Additionally, more people received promotions this year compared to prior years. Unquote. What'd you think, Jlee? Give me your hot take reaction to the statement that is, by the way, designed to throw a cold bucket of water on this fire that is a compensation spreadsheet.
Well, see, this goes back to your question of what does this spreadsheet look like, which I am very interested in seeing. So lots of focus in her statement around recognizing talent of our highest performers, rewarding and investing in top employees. And so the columns that are missing in that spreadsheet are performance rating, productivity measures, contributions, impact, blah, blah, blah. And so in the absence of that, you don't really know like where you stack up and like if you're being paid fairly. And I think, one of the things that her statement clearly, comes out to say is for your top performers, yeah, we're doing the things that we should be.
Well, I do think she had to hit on the we're a pay for performance company. It's funny, Jlee, I was just watching an episode of The Office last night, season 6, and that's where Jim, right? Jim from The Office. Yeah. That's where Jim becomes a co-branch manager with Michael. And they have to figure out, they can either give everybody in the office 1.5% increase for the year, or they can spread it out. And as you would expect, it's a total like cluster. So you have to go with the pay performance things. Let me give you, and I bet there's some people listening to this that kind of did a double take on this language. This language was really interesting to me. Let me read it. This year, our top performers received a salary increase that is 20% more than prior years. So I keyed in on that and I'm like, that's quality, that's quality buzz speak. However, if my top level is 3.75% or 4% on the merit increase thing, that means I took it to 4.5 or 5. And I can say that it's a 20% increase for our top performers. So I didn't like that because I think like people like you and me would just like chop that up in a million different ways. So react to that real quick. And then I've got one more follow up on the spokesperson statement.
So it's interesting depending on which media you look at. I think some people are just keying in on like reference to like a 20% increase and not doing the math in the way that you're doing. So that is a very,
right. It's
a shout out to Jessica Taylor.
Yeah, it's a good play. It's a good play because the masses are going to buy into something like that. Yeah. But it actually means you move from 3.75 for a top performer to 4.5. Yeah.
Well, so here's the other thing is, someday I would like to see a company just come out and say, you know what? Our compensation, I'm not saying this is Blizzard, but like there are plenty of companies that do this whose compensation strategy is not to pay at the top of the market, that their strategy is to pay, let's say 50th percentile, 50th, 75th percentile. And that is where they stay because there are other reasons or other intangibles, other things that allow them to do that. And that is not where they put all their dollars and cents in terms of how they invest in their people, and that they should own it, be okay with it, and that their employees also would understand that that is their approach and that is the way in which the company looks at things. And I think like when you have things more out in the open, a little bit more transparent in terms of like pay philosophy, like man, maybe you wouldn't get into this mess.
So you know what's never been put on the brochure, Jlee?
We don't pay well.
No, it's not. So you would never say the old like we don't pay well here, mister. You never say that, but nobody ever says, you know what we strive to do here at Blizzard? We strive to simply meet the market.
But think about it. What if we were just upfront and said, I'm going to manage your expectations? And I don't know that that's their strategy. That might not be what they're doing. But like, what if you just set expectations right out front?
Well, Karl Marx, and I hate to go all philosophy on you, but Karl Marx once
Christian
said
Dunn, please.
That, XXX is the opiate of the masses. Now, I'm a believer, so I'm not going to say religion, although I just did. But I think, thinking that people truly pay for performance is a little bit of the opiate of the masses, which is why Jessica Taylor went right to it. Shout out to her. Shout out to the fact that she got the 20%er in there. But you have to know a lot about compensation to actually do that math and say, hey, have you thought about the merit matrix? Like, nobody ever leads with the merit matrix either. I think it's super interesting. Now, I did a little research, Jlee. By the way, so Bloomberg is reporting on this. You've got this spreadsheet circulating, and you've got the, it's a hell of a quote. Like, some employees at Blizzard Entertainment said they used free coffee as an appetite suppressant. That's a hell of a quote. Skip meals, that's less funny. Okay, so nobody wants that. No, everybody wants people to earn a living wage. But when you think about articles like this, the thing that's always problematic is that, Blizzard has thousands of employees. How many people do you think they actually talked to for this article?
If I'm the average reporter, less than 10.
Yeah, I was going to put the over-under at 10 people, right? And it's always going to be led by somebody that was either the owner or an early distributor of said online spreadsheet, which I'm sure IT is looking for everyone who's accessed that as we speak. All right, before I get us out of here, I got two more things for you. So, and I already told you this. So darn it, I shouldn't have told you this. I should have just had you react to it. What do you think the actual Glassdoor overall rating is for Blizzard Entertainment? You can guess correctly since I already told you.
3.8.
You are correct because we had this conversation. You're so clairvoyant.
So good.
You saw it coming. So when I hear a 3.8, I don't automatically think of a company that is having just a buttload of issues. I think of the 2.7s, the 2.8s of the world, and I don't see a lot below that, but I think if you get into the high twos, you got some systematic problems. I would tell you that the more reviews stack up, and I know Marriott has like a healthy kind of 4.0, I think, right in that range. So they're in the fours.
I haven't checked it recently.
Somewhere. By the way, I don't see a lot of people taking pot shots at companies during COVID, which I think is heartening, right? That's good, but you never know. So when I think of a 3.8, Jlee, I don't think of a company that is a bad place to work. What do you think of when you hear 3.8?
No, you don't think of it generally as a bad place to work. One of the things that I was actually going to try to go back and look at, though, that I don't have handy, so I'm not that clairvoyant, is, and we didn't talk about this like with the media coverage, like part of the media coverage is also about the disparity between their CEO's pay versus everyone else. And I do think that that is, a healthy angle to this situation where when you have a CEO, and I don't know like how they perform, as a company, they've got, billions in revenue, but I don't know anything beyond that. But when you do have like such a big apparent disparity, like that is something that I think is worth dialogue. And of course, there's always scrutiny around CEO pay. So what I was going to go look at is like, what is their CEO rating compared to like the company rating? And perhaps it's a great place to work. And like, it has a good culture. And like, these are people who really rally behind the products, but don't feel good about their pay or don't feel good about how their CEO is being paid. So that's another angle.
Are you going right there right now? I've got a little bit of an hourglass on my internet, and I'm not sure why. Are you going there? Can you see it? What their CEO rating is?
No, I don't know how to navigate Glassdoor very well. I'm embarrassed to say. I'm trying to figure it out.
Oh boy. Here we go. So you got to go to reviews, I think. Here we go. I got reviews. All right. So it's interesting. 72%, so 3.8 overall, 72% would recommend to a friend. Not bad. 59% approve of CEO. I think that's probably like mid-range. Mm-hmm. And by the way, we've got a different name on their Glassdoor profile than what Bloomberg talked about with the CEO, mm-hmm. although that may be the difference between Blizzard and Activision. I suppose is. But 72% recommending for a friend follows kind of our conventional wisdom on 3.8. I got one more piece of data for you to react to, and then we'll close it out for this episode of HR Famous. On a salary perspective, so I started, when I went to Glassdoor, I saw this tab called salaries. So they've got 1,800 reported salaries across time at at Blizzard, and they've got, I'll give you a couple tastes here. So software engineer, and this is like looking at all locations. Software engineer, and I think one of their biggest locations is in Irvine, California, in Orange County, in the LA area. Average base pay across, I would assume, all software engineers, or at least people that just say they're a normal software engineer, is $94,000 with average additional pay of $16,000. I don't know why there's a disparity, not adding those numbers up, but they say average total pay for a software engineer, it's a $100K job. So that piece doesn't sound crazy. If I go to senior software engineer, like next step up, I see average base pay of 121K, average total pay of 142K. Again, probably not leading the market in Orange County, but it doesn't seem like a terrible place to work. But then I think one of the things I would say is this really goes into a job by job thing. And I would expect that a lot of the issue comes into things like customer service rep. And here we go. So think about Orange County. And again, I don't know all the locations, but I'm going to focus on Orange County as kind of our baseline for this. And it says for a customer service rep, average base pay is $13 an hour and average total pay is $28K. And what I would tell you is if you're in a big metropolitan area like LA, then I think you're bumping up against living wage issues. So I think the story here is, Bloomberg reported this as a company-wide thing. And if you dig into a lot of the comments, you see a lot of comments on pay. You also see a lot of comments that benefits are pretty good and that they pay out at 100%. I don't know if that's still the case, but I think the average pay for customer service reps, challenging. Also QA testers, you mentioned that earlier, Jlee. Yep. I think came in at $17 an hour. And as somebody speaking to you with experience in the software industry, it varies in industry. So that's not necessarily a software QA tester, but that seems low. So I think we've got this macro play on Bloomberg where, as you would expect, I'll throw it to you for final comments, the truth is probably on a job group by job group basis. And maybe they're under market in some areas and they pay at or above market in others.
And that, sir, is why people are leaving Los Angeles to go to Austin, Las Vegas, and the like. So, full circle on that whole story.
The bad news part of that is the people with the most ability to leave. And I don't want to go off on a rant here. The people with the most ability to leave are the people who are professional class.
That's probably true.
Actually, like earning the most. All right. Any closing comments for us on Blizzard, Jessica?
Well, I think that anytime a company is in the news for things like this, like I feel for them from an employer brand perspective, from just a general corporate reputation perspective. And so, it's easy for any big brand to get crapped on because of a Google spreadsheet. So I am sure for the HR pros, the PR folks who work there, they'll get through this and they'll figure it out. And just tough. I feel for that.
I've got two shout outs. First of all, shout out to Tim Sackett on his boogie board with his dog Scout in Lake Michigan. God bless you. I hope you're having a good time. Second shout out is to reporters in general. Like I won't go off on a rant. Just do your job. Like report the whole scene. Don't take your clickbait, get your clickbait up, but in the details, like, tell me a little bit about what you found on Glassdoor. I mean, this is not like rocket science. All you got to do is slice and dice it a little bit. And they may have a problem in a certain job group. It's hard because they can't necessarily tell that story because that's not necessarily serving the job group that they have issues on. They may not have the ability or willingness to rectify some of those pay issues. It's complicated, but reporters, do your job. Like, give us the full thing. You're very capable people. There's a lot of great reporters out there. I mean, take your clickbait. Like, I'll give you the clickbait and then give me some more details, a little more balance. That's all I'm asking for.
Wow. Are you saying that these articles are not award-winning journalism? Ouch.
I'm saying that we have a lot of award-winning journalists who just need to tell the complete story. That's all I'm saying. All right.
Oh, boy.
Enough of the lecture. She's Jessica Lee. I'm Chris Dunn. That's your episode of HR Famous without the great Tim Sackett. He'll be back next week, I'm sure. Jessica, have a great week. You got a birthday coming up before we tape next. Happy birthday to you and Bobby. Until next time, we're HR Famous. She's Jessica Lee. I'm Chris Dunn. We are out.